forgot to turn my mic back on. Well done, I said.
Noob.
Let's get into some Detroit Tigers talk.
Yes.
Now, I'm really excited for this. I wanted to do it last week, but you guys ruled me out. But the Tigers surprised many, including us fans, by going 77-85, finishing third in the Central Division.
Go Tigers.
16 games back in the division from the White Sox and 15 games back in the AL wild card. It was a pleasant surprise, mainly because it felt like, they won games on the backs of the young players, and then they lost games because they just didn't have depth. They didn't have the leaders. They didn't have the veterans to kind of help the young guys going through the dog days of summer. If you, I gotta clear my throat again, man.
Yeah,
This is getting bad, huh?
Yeah.
Just jump in if you can.
Well, I think what you said earlier with the Tigers finishing 77-85, to keep that in perspective, if 4 games would have finished differently, and you can think about 4 games through the season and how many games they lost late, they could have won based on just random things that happened. They're 4 games different away from being 500. 81-81. Now, That is not too many games away from competing for playoffs late in the year.
That's true, yeah.
And you look at some of these like WAR stats, even though I literally hate the WAR stat.
You hate the WAR stat?
I think it's a good benchmark stat, I guess, but it's not a be-all end-all. It does not actually mean wins. But anyways, some of those WAR guys that are out there in free agency are 5+ wins. We're talking like 2 signings away from competing for playoffs and being a 90-win team. Like, sign me up. Yeah, and we're only getting better with rookies, second-year, third-year guys getting better as they mature. Tigers, like, this was such an exciting year to see. And it's exactly going into the year when we were previewing this team, we needed all of the guys that you didn't know about to step up and turn into something, and we saw that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And now it is time. It's time to spend money. It's time to make moves for multiple reasons. And the Tigers are part of so many rumors going on. I mean,
I love it.
So, but before we get into rumors, let's talk about the moves that they already made. On November 3rd, the Tigers acquired Cincinnati Reds catcher Tucker Barnhart in exchange for the Tigers' infield prospect Nick Quintana. The Tigers will pick up Barnhart's $7.5 million team option, meaning the 30-year-old 2-time Gold Glove winner will be a Detroit Tiger in 2020. However, the Tigers aren't ruling out a possibility of a contract extension. What do you think about Barnhart?
I think Barnhart's perfect for this rebuild, this quote-unquote rebuild at this point. He's a right-handed, decent hitting catcher, a left-handed, decent hitting catcher that is very, very good defensively. Like, he's really good defensively. He works really well with
to win Gold Gloves as a catcher.
Yeah,
I mean that's impressive.
I mean he's throwing 30 to 40% of runners out based on the year. Some years 45, some years 36. Either way, that is an elite rate for any kind of catcher.
And the key for the Tigers here is Jake Rogers is out for all of
that's key
for the rest of the season. He came in and showed a ton. Like,
yeah,
his bat showed enough, I thought, but his defense was up there. And it sounds like Barnhart is a perfect replacement for not having Rogers this upcoming season.
But probably more reliable as a hitter, just a kind of a normal average big league hitter. But also from the left side, so this complements Eric Haas from the right side really, really well. We can go the righty-lefty based on matchups from the catcher position. That is great. That's a great option to have, and then you can also do offense-defense type of thing based on the matchup as well, with him as the defensive specialist. That gives you some offense compared to Eric Haas, which gives you the risk or the pop, potential from the right side with the home run power, but maybe not quite as good a defense.
And as a 2-time Gold Glove winner, 30 years old, he's been around, he's good. Seems like he's like, I mean, Haas is what he is, right? But it was still his first full season in the MLB. So what you're bringing in is a veteran catcher to kind of run this young staff. That's very important. It'll be interesting to see how and when they kind of mix and match, because it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but each pitcher kind of ends up getting their own catcher to an extent, right?
Yeah, a lot of times.
And he seems like that he's going to get the majority of the starts, right? Over Eric Haas, unless Eric Haas, I mean, you can find your way to get Eric Haas in the lineup with his bat and stuff, but
yeah. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a timeshare. I think it's going to be something where they try to keep both guys fresh. It's a long season. If anything happens to one catcher, you don't want him burned out because you played him 75% of the games early on. Yeah, it's really going to be matchup dependent. It's going to be starting pitcher dependent. If Casey Mize loves pitching to this guy,
then you throw him in.
He's a catcher. Yeah, he's the catcher.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, screw you, 3, 4, 5 guys in the rotation. You're throwing to somebody else because this is Casey Mize's guy and he needs some rest.
I think the most important thing is this was a massive hole with Jake Rogers' injury, and they went out and put a check mark in it. Yeah. And it was done. You wash your hands. Agreed. You're good with it. I think, what was that, 2 days after the World Series? Maybe 1 day after the World Series?
I think it was the day after.
That was quick.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
They got
their guy. That's really exciting.
And that makes Barnhart feel really good about this too, because this team was looking at him. They want him. They keyed in on him, and he's thinking, man, these guys love me.
Yeah,
I'm exactly what they want. Yeah. Game, it's a marriage at that point.
For sure. No, it's exciting. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Obviously, it's
also
health and a lot of stuff.
There was an end of season interview with between I'm sorry, I'm drawing blanks. Avila and Coach Hinch. So Avila and Hinch were talking at the end of the year, and catcher was one of the issues. They were like, well, with Rogers' injury, and we got to address the catcher position.
Yeah, Griner wasn't going to fill that.
Yeah.
As much as, I mean, he was what he was. He is what he season, but
yeah, he's a fill-in. Yeah. He's a fill-in at this point. But then they also mentioned a few other positions. They're like, obviously, shortstop's a big position for us to fill. We're going to consider all options. We have some internal candidates, but we also have plenty of external candidates to consider. We're gonna look around, and then they get into starting pitchers. He just said, what most people aren't talking about is, I think we have, and this is Al Avila talking, I think we have a gap at the starting pitcher position. We need to fill a need there, and we saw it with all of the injuries that we had during the season. And I said that going in, you have to expect your starting pitchers to get injured, but that was a need that Al Avila identified immediately after the season. Look, we need another reliable veteran arm in this rotation to solidify something, to bring extra to our team.
So that brings out, what was it, the 15th? So was that Monday? Or was that, I guess it doesn't matter. What's the date today? It was Monday, yeah. The Tigers signed left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez to a 5-year, $77 million contract. He can opt out after the second year, has a no-trade clause. He's 28, has pitched 6 seasons for the Boston Red Sox after making his MLB debut in 2015. He has a career 4.16 ERA. He pitched 32 games, 31 starts in 2021, posting a 4.74 ERA, 47 walks, and 185 strikeouts. He has a close relationship with Tigers' assistant pitching coach, Juan Nieves, who was Boston's pitching coach during spring training in 2015. He finished 6th in the American League Cy. Sorry, I'm just going to get all the information and I'll let you kind of go. American League Cy Young voting in 2019. That year, he made a career-high 34 starts and logged a 3.81 ERA with 75 walks, 213 strikeouts over 203 and a third inning. What do you expect from this guy?
I love this signing so much.
Yeah.
I just think it's perfect for what the Tigers are trying to do. It's another left-handed pitcher that has a great arm. He's a big-time arm. For a lefty, if he was throwing it from the right side, you'd be like, that's a good arm, but it's not elite. From the left side, that's pretty elite stuff. And I've always kind of been jealous of the Red Sox with him in their rotation, because he is just this rock solid guy. And to be 6th in Cy Young in 2019, 34 starts, 3.81 ERA, 75 walks, 213 strikeouts over 203 innings. That's over a strikeout in inning guy, where that's just logging those innings, keeping your bullpen fresh. Also just seeing the highest level of competition in the playoffs and World Series. What else can you ask to add to your team? And what is he, 28 years old?
Yeah, I don't know if he's 30. He's 30-year-old, I think.
I don't think so. I think he's younger.
Sorry,
than
that was the
catcher. Yeah, sorry. I think so. Eduardo Rodriguez,
28. Yep.
Yeah, so 28 years old. You could argue he's coming into his prime. He could turn into something even more than he is right now. And to to get a guy that, we're signing him from age 28 to 33 with his 5-year contract, doesn't get any better than that.
Yep.
And a left-handed pitcher that has pretty elite or maybe like if you're going to notch something down from elite stuff from the left side, that's where he lives. But more than that, more than all of that, he is a consistent pitcher that you can rely on, that's been healthy for a long time, who can strike people out, is a low walk guy. He's a perfect template for these young pitchers to come in and understand how a professional works in the game of baseball over a long season.
He's a good pitcher. He's proven that he can pitch in this league. And that's the key is like you have extremely good pitchers, you have guys that can pitch in this league, and then it just falls off very quickly.
Yeah.
He has proven that he can pitch. And look, the AL East is a tough division.
Oh,
right?
and he's pitching
and
at
he's
Fenway.
Pitching well. Pitching at Fenway. Not a pitcher-friendly
No,
ballpark.
no,
if
that's tough, man.
That is very tough. He's going into a pitcher-friendly ballpark with probably a better defense than he's been dealing with. And I think his numbers will only get better at Comerica Park. And I think that's huge.
And again, he's 28. He's growing from. What is he, a 5-year vet at this point? And he's 28 years old. He came up young, and he was and with the Red Sox. That means he's been pitching big games for a long time against big time competition, against big time rivalries. Spotlight on you. The whole city's waiting and watching to see what you do, and he's put up numbers at this point.
He's pitched 6 seasson. So another thing about him, so he did get COVID. He got myocarditis or something like that, the heart thing
condition
that people can get.
Yep.
So that's something to be aware of if you want to. I guess I'm not going to be too worried about it.
A lot of time.
But I just think this is such a quietly good signing.
I agree.
$77 million sounds like a lot. What do you think about the no trade clause? That's interesting to me. Like, I get no trade clauses can be waived, and he can pick where he goes, and all of that can be taken care of. A little weird.
You know what that did was brought the number down. So
Okay.
you're talking about a 70. What he was looking for is guaranteed money.
Okay.
And this is before the lockout that's about to happen.
That's not. Yeah.
We can get into that if we want to or not. But
I think we should at the end here.
They signed him early for a purpose. He was looking at them for a purpose. I think this is going to be before. Basically, this is setting the stage for all of the free agent starting pitchers. And that's a great spot for the Tigers to be in because people are going to be basing these numbers off of him, and it's only going to get more expensive from here.
So MLB had the top free agent pitchers. So you had Max Scherzer at number 1, Kevin Gausman at number 2, Carlos Rodon at number 3, Clayton Kershaw at number 4, Eduardo Rodriguez number 5.
That sounds.
And that number, like when you're saying the top 5 free agent in this free agent class, like those are some big names in
big time names.
Big names.
Kershaw, Scherzer, and your top 5, and the youngest out of all that entire group. You're the young one in that group that's putting up similar numbers or comparable numbers, and they signed him to less than $20 million a year for an extended period of time. I'm telling you, if he does not get hurt, if he can stay healthy through this time period, 4th and 5th year on this contract is going to look so cheap.
Yeah. No, and you're going to be getting ready to sign your other guys too, and it's going to be I think this is a very good signing. Look, everything could hit the fan. He could get hurt, and it looked like a big waste of time for this year. But if we had Matthew Boyd for the entire year this last year, do we think that might have put us over 500? I think so.
It definitely could have.
I like Matt Boyd. This is a Matt Boyd replacement, and it's an upgrade.
It's a
massive upgrade.
Matthew Boyd equivalent to much better upgrade. Yes, this is something that exactly we're bringing this on. So this is just another life insurance policy for this starting pitcher group, and starting pitching does not let's understand the impact that starting pitching has.
It's huge. Go back to when the Tigers were contending. It was all about this rotation.
That's exactly what if you can have an ERA in the starting pitcher group and that logs innings, if it's anywhere around 4, you're going to be a good team.
Yep.
Anywhere around 4, you're going to be a really good team. And this is a guy that's less than 4 some years, just barely above 4 some other years. But yeah, I mean, I probably said it a little bit too much. I love the signing. I think it's great. I think it's one step in the direction with the young guys that are coming up to say, like, this is the start of a nucleus at this point.
Yeah, so do you think this closes the door on Verlander?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're one and done.
What do you think about Verlander? Would you accept him back at this point? Or is it more about the right money? Or
if he's healthy, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine the crowd that it would bring to a Comerica Park? If he pitched opening day.
Do you want him to?
I would love that. I would love that. Are you
Really?
kidding me? He has pitched so many opening days. He sets a record for opening days at Comerica. And that would be...
It'd be cool.
What a moment that would be. That would be insane. Yeah, I'd be in favor of Scherzer coming
I feel
back.
like... I think you've got to sign another pitcher, right? We're right here. So we got Manning, Skubal, Mize. Now we got Rodriguez. Do you want to get to 6? You got to find that 6th guy. Willie Peralta, do you want to bring him back? I like what he did. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I would love to bring him back. Yeah.
I mean, are there other names out there that you want to take,
Matthew Boyd, Spencer Turnbull.
Well, Turnbull's out for this year.
Yeah, no,
and
or at least
I think Boyd is going to be a free agent. I'm not sure how that's going down, but
yeah, no, it's kind of a weird situation with
Fulmer too. Though maybe he gets back into the potential of a starter.
He wants to.
I think he does.
But
if he wants to, he's going to work towards it.
Yeah, but he was so good though.
He was great. Oh no, I would rather keep him in the bullpen. I think he makes our bullpen that much better.
But the point is, yes, I think they need one more arm, and it's not even necessarily a big name or anything. If it is a big name, great. That makes Manning your next guy in. You know, like if you have Manning who's hungry for a bunch and saying, this isn't fair, I want to be a starting pitcher, great, make him mad. Go prove it. Yeah. You know? Like the next injury he's in and he's going to try to stay up for good. That's the situation you want to be in. You want to be competing for that 5th spot.
Yeah, and honestly, it doesn't have to be through free agency either. There's a couple arms. I mean, if Faedo can get stuff figured out, you got to bring him up at some point to see if he can figure it out. Joey Wentz. Coming up there too. There's
both coming off injuries.
And like Jackson Jobe, he's not going to be on this team yet.
Not yet.
But I mean, it's like you have more there too. It doesn't have to be through free agency, but you got to find one or maybe even 2 more starters to kind of fit this rotation and round it off and give these guys a little less pressure. I think it is a fair way to say it.
Yeah.
With the young players.
It's just depth. Depth is so important in baseball. I mean, Dodgers have 8 people deep.
Yeah. Right. So the rumors have been everywhere. I mean, heading into the season, I think we talked about the we're not going to spend like drunken sailor type stuff that Avila said. I don't think this Rodriguez signing is drunken sailor money. I'm a little nervous that it's going to be like, well, we couldn't afford a shortstop because we signed a pitcher instead. Do you think that's going to be the case? Or do you think that this is the first 2 moves, and then the next one is the big one in the shortstop? Is that what you think's coming, or what are you feeling about this?
I think they're going to wait for the right contract for the right person.
So you don't think it's all about getting the right name or the big name? It's about getting the right person.
Yeah, I think it's their scouting department saying long term, this is what we project. This is the kind of money based on the salary cap. This is what the flexibility would be on year 8 of the contract. You know, like that. I really believe they're going to be going through their due diligence and understanding the kind of impact this could have, because the biggest responsibility of Al Avila at this point is to not jump into contracts that jeopardize the future of this franchise. And Eduardo Rodriguez did not do anything even close to jeopardizing the future. This only helps it because of how cheap it was and because it was the perfect time period, 5 years from age 28 to 33.
Yep.
And all of that was considered. And they went to him, and I guarantee you they said, look, we don't know what's going on with the next contract with the MLBPA. Jump on this early. We'll start it off. We'll take care of you. It's all guaranteed. Even no trade clause, we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And he jumped on.
And if it's unfair, you can opt out after 2 years.
There you go.
New
exactly.
contract.
Like they're making it all worth. Yeah, they're throwing all these incentives in place. They're going to do something similar for the shortstop position. I know they're going to be looking. They're not going to spend $450 million on Carlos Correa.
Sounds like 300 is the number.
in long term, I don't know if that's a bad deal or not.
It's hard to say, right?
26 years old?
27.
He just turned 27 then.
Yeah, he must have. Yeah.
He just turned 27 years old, and I don't even want a 10-year contract, but that's ages 27 to 37. That could potentially be his elite years. And there's nothing to say that a guy like that is going to slow down at all. Like, his swing is compact. He's pretty good with off speed. Do I think he's the best shortstop in baseball? No, I really don't.
No.
But the best shortstop in baseball would require $500 million at this point.
What did the guy he used to play for the Indians?
We'll see.
Where is he's not a free agent though, is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
I think so.
No, he signed a big deal.
With the Mets?
I thought he did. I could be wrong.
We could look it up. You want me to look it up?
Yeah, go
What's
for
his
it. One, I can't think of it. He might still be on the Indians. I don't know.
No, he's on the Mets.
Sorry, the Guardians. The Guardians. I should get used to that. One thing I want to talk about is the shortstop. Obviously, it's a big name. It feels like the I don't want to say only hole.
Francisco Lindor?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
I don't think it's the only hole because I think we got to get some depth here. But it feels like the biggest hole at shortstop here. The four names that everybody's talking about: Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Corey Seager, and Javi Baez. I personally don't want anything to do with Javi Baez or Trevor Story.
Agreed.
Personally, let's say we're talking big money here. I mean, if you can get them at a discount, obviously you take it. But those are the two that are I'm not sold on. But then the drop off is pretty big after that, and that's where it's really interesting. So let's say Carlos Correa, Corey Seager. Those are the two that's huge because this is what we're seeing after those four are out of the picture. Jose Iglesias is number 5.
Wow.
Like, that is eye-opening.
Wait, what about the Toronto? Oh, he's considered a second baseman. Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah,
Marcus Semien.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate him.
I'd love him. Yeah.
I guess he should probably be in because he could play short.
He played short his entire career until last year. He was on the stacked Blue Jays team and played second.
So the 10th best shortstop on this list.
Who?
Andrew Romine.
Oh my gosh.
And as soon as I saw that name, I was like, holy smokes, we got to get one of these top guys.
Well, and that's the thing. We've got how many shortstops in the system? Probably 6 shortstops in the system better than Andrew Romine.
Yeah.
But all of them worse than the top 4.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So really all of them probably better or equal to Jose Iglesias. It's not like he's going to come in at number 5 and
Iglesias'
make
problem was the bat.
Yeah.
Right?
But it still is.
Yeah. He's not making our lineup any deeper, and we need that.
Yeah.
As much as we need a defensive shortstop, which Correa is, we need a bat, a threat, a 280 hitter that's going to lead this team on both sides of the field. You know what I mean? Like, if it's all about the glove, all right, yeah, let's just stick with Zach Short and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Iglesias is.
Also,
right?
Francisco Lindor, 10 years, $341 million with a $50 million deferred part of the contract, which means they're just paying him $5 or $5 million a year throughout the contract.
Oh my gosh!
So really, it says 341. That's probably against the salary cap.
Okay.
In reality, it's $391 million over the next 10 years. So are we willing to invest in Carlos Correa or are you? For a 260 to 280 hitter in 26 to 30 bombs?
The one side of me says it's not my money. It doesn't affect me. There's no salary cap. Like, just spend like a drunken sailor. I don't give a crap. It's not my money. Yeah, go spend and get Carlos Correa. But when you're comparing what Carlos Correa is compared to Francisco Lindor, I think at least
the market is not saying he's better.
I think Carlos Correa is being overvalued at that point.
Potentially.
Because his injury, he's been injury prone. He doesn't have he doesn't have crazy pop. He doesn't have crazy batting average. He's just good. He's a good hitter, and he's really good defensively.
You know what
That's
this does?
what he is.
You know what this does, though? Let's just say, I want to just throw out the opportunity. If Carlos Correa is a Tiger and we sign him, what this does is third base becomes potentially even Spencer Torkelson
No.
next year, or maybe first base next year. He's coming up next year, I'm telling you. He's coming up next year. He hit 30 bombs and hit 280 with the 400 on base. Like, the dude is legit. So let's just say Spencer Torkelson comes up next year like we expect him to. He's going to fill third base or first base. What this does with shortstop is now you have one of the elite shortstops in the game, and maybe not the best, maybe not even top 5, but you have one of the top 7 best shortstops in the game with Corey Seager or with Carlos Correa. Then you look at third base, first base, you got your young stud. Then you also have Jonathan Scope, and Yammer Candelario, who's like, I would say they're both pretty average, but kind of gamers.
But I think that they would be very good as the 6, 7, 8 hitter.
There you go. That's what I'm getting at. And then what are you doing? Now you have Willie Castro, you have Harold Castro, you have Nico Grisham, who I think is out of the picture at that point. But you have Jonathan Scope, Harold Castro, and Willie Castro battling over second base.
I'm all right with that.
With all your young prospects that are coming up at the same time. Like, that's filled out your infield, and we've thrown away Candelario, potentially.
Yeah.
You've filled out your infield and upgraded it massively at the most important positions on the infield. What makes the Astros so good? What makes the Astros so good every single year is their infield. You have Bregman locking down third base. You have your shortstop and second base combo as two of the best in baseball. And then you just throw in some decent, talented outfielders, and every single time you're good.
Yeah. One thing that I think that people aren't talking about with the Correa connection, and this is where I kind of want to wrap up the Correa side, and we can talk a little bit more about what we want to. I'll let you put a bow on the Tigers talk here. But one thing so everybody's talked about the connection with AJ Hinch, right? And how that gives the Tigers an advantage to sign a guy like Correa. What more importantly this does for me is it's like, who knows best if Correa's worth $300 million? Who knows best what Correa is to a lineup in a defense inside the clubhouse is AJ Hinch. And if Alavila and Illich, and this is just a hope, is like, you better be relying on AJ Hinch and be like, is it worth it? Like, be honest here, and let's talk about, like, how important is the shortstop position, first of all? How important is is this type of player to a lineup and where we're at in the scenario? Because, look, AJ Hinch was also part of Correa coming up through it, right? And that's a little different than what he's going to be coming into to be that leader. But, like, AJ Hinch knows what he's worth. And if the Tigers go out and spend $300 million tomorrow morning, which I'm sure they're going to do as soon as we get off the air, like they always do, big breaking news is going to happen. But, like, if they do it, I'm all behind it. If they say it's not worth it and they decide not to overspend, quote-unquote overspend on a guy like Correa, I'm going to support that too. I don't think a shortstop is the be-all, end-all heading into the season in the development of this team. But what I'm hoping and just freaking better be happening is you guys are giving, and I'm saying you guys as Avila and Illich better be saying, Hinch, you tell us what he's worth. You tell us what you want us to do here, because Hinch has an opt-out after this season. And if the Tigers aren't trusting Hinch to make these type of decisions and just going balls to the wall, all in, if he's willing to and saying that he's worth it, or whoever it is, like, he's going to walk. He's going to be like, see ya. Like, I don't trust you guys. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth, which is my biggest concern with the Tigers, is saying, yeah, or we're not going to spend a lot of money. Oh, we're going to spend a lot of money. We're going to do, like... You
were talking on both sides of your mouth.
I did that, yeah, for the people that aren't watching live. But it's just like...
It's impressive.
You have everything in front of you. You have one of the best managers in the game, if not the best manager in the game, proven last year. If you're not trusting him to just say, you tell us what to do, then see ya. Like, he's going to walk, and we're done. We're starting from square one. So, in a lot of ways.
This is my impression after the end-of-year press conference. I brought that up on purpose.
Yeah, yep.
It was very important to me because I saw the dynamic between Al Avila and AJ Hinch. Avila, I will give him credit for this, and this alone really is, one, he's drafted pretty good, but more than that, he clearly has given his group, his coaches around him, his scouts around him, the freedom to actually make real decisions. And he trusts them because I don't think he trusts himself. I don't think he's that hard of a worker. I don't think he's that...
You're talking about Avila?
Yeah, I don't think Avila really dives in
I'm
that
the face.
deep.
I'm the face. I'm going to put a little people around me.
I really believe that. He trusts his scouts 100%. Why? He came from being a scout. So he's saying, these guys dove in. I'm going to trust their expertise. They actually had power to draft the people they wanted. The scouts did. The scouting director had the power to draft his people. Yes. So Avila trusted him in that 100%. That tells me that Avila understands where he belongs and where he doesn't belong. And in the press conference, I saw the same thing with AJ Hinch. Hinch was answering all the questions about development, about playing time, about bringing in pitchers and how they reacted in difficult situations, future plans with them. He was talking about all that stuff and way more elegantly than Avila was. I think Avila put AJ Hinch in place to manage and to have control of this team. I think he put his scouts in place because they're elite scouts and they know how to scout and they pick the right people and they develop the right way. I think he has minor league coaches that are in place to develop players the right way. I think Al Avila gets out of his own way, and that's the best thing I can say about him.
Yeah, and another thing, like, to kind of come full circle back to the Lions, it's like they took a massive chance. The ownership and Avila took a massive chance by bringing in AJ Hinch, because that's the type of thing that people weren't happy with heading in, and they have been.
Now we love him.
And
I always did.
They've been proven. Yeah, I mean we were all for it. But like that's something that can turn people away. And there's still callers and texters and into sports talk radio stations that are like, "Oh, I never trust a cheater." Blah blah blah. Man, they took a chance, and that's something that the Lions never do. And here we are. Like the Tigers have been benefited from it. They literally escalated this rebuild, probably full 2 years by hiring the right manager and the right guy for that type of job.
I completely agree with you.
That is something that the Lions ownership does not do. That is something that they don't take chances. And I mean, hats off to Avila. I think it's more of an ownership decision than a Avila decision. But they went out and did it. Yeah. And it was awesome. And I hope they find a way to lock this guy up and not let him walk. And you need to prove to him that you're all in right here, right now. And that's why the Tigers are all in right here, right now. And that's why we're talking about Correa. That's why we just signed Rodriguez, the fifth best pitcher according to MLB.com. Like, as a free agent. Like, that's why we're doing these things. And do not let it slip through your fingers. And I'm sitting here right now. I'm saying if they don't overspend or spend on a shortstop, there is a reason, and it is a Hinch reason. And if it's not, he will walk. And that's where we're at right now. Is I think what we're seeing is organization trusting in their manager, trusting in what he's done, trusting in his opinion on all of these players and how you build a contending baseball team. And they're all in. And that's where I think they're at right now. And like I'm saying, there's that opportunity to I could be saying this the complete opposite next year, because if AJ Hinch decides to opt out and walks, that tells me that they didn't do what I'm saying they're doing right now. And that's why it should be really exciting for a Tigers fan, because look, I'm not saying they're going to turn the corner and be a contender next year, but taking a step and investing in this team, because Tigers fans show up. When you're investing in it, they're there. And I'm so excited for it. Again, not saying they're going to be true contenders.
They've already shown.
They're stepping. It's a step in the right direction. That's all I want to see.
And they've already started investing, and that's the best part of it. Yeah. I will point out 29th on the starting pitcher list. By the way, the starting pitchers, holy
that
cow.
Is deep.
There are tons
There's some
of starting
big
pitchers.
names on there. 25, you said, right?
29.
29?
Yep. Chichi Gonzalez.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Never heard of him.
Oh, okay.
Where is he at?
formerly known as Alex Gonzalez, Oral Roberts
He changed his
alumni.
name?
Oral Roberts alumni.
Oh, he played against him?
Yeah, I hit a home run off him in 2011 when he was a freshman. I was a senior.
And then he changed his name the day after because a catcher
Because he couldn't
and
do
Oakland
that.
University just hit a home run against
I know,
him.
yeah.
Is that when he changed his name? No, that's good.
I had to do Chichi Gonzalez, guys.
all right.
I want him.
Put a bow on it for us, Ryan, and we can get into our picks if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tigers, they're
Actually,
ready.
we got to talk CBA too. Give us a bow on the Tigers, and then tell us what's going on with the CBA.
I want you to do the CBA because I know the date, I know the deadline or whatever, but I'm not really sure how that really impacts like long term or what the expectations are with that.
Put a bow on Tigers.
Tigers, okay. Tigers took a massive step forward. They went from the first overall pick into the third, fifth overall pick or something.
This
last year was third, I think, with Jackson Jobe.
Yep. Now they're
now
12th?
And yeah,
10th or 12th. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's a big difference. It's a big step forward. And not only that, we have Casey Mize, we have Terry Scuba, we have Matt Manning, we have these young guys. We have Matthew Boyd, hopefully coming back from injury. We had a lot of injuries along the way. We have a lot of pieces in place with this team. And again, when we're talking about going against and getting these guys, this is also with the assumption that the minor league talent that we've invested in, starting pitchers, relief pitchers that are coming up, along with Spencer Torkelson, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, Riley Green, outfielder, one of the top prospects in all of baseball. When we had guys like Akil Baddoo this year come and step up, and then Harold Castro, which we called early on, step up and hit 270, 280, 290, whatever he hit this year. Those are the names that we need to get to know. Those are the names that are going to be the fillers, the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitters in this lineup long term, while these young stars are going to be stepping up and filling the gaps. And pretty soon our outfielders are going to be Akil Baddoo plus a couple of all-stars. And then we're going to have an infielder in one of the Castros, Willie or Harold Castro, and then a bunch of all-stars. And that turns into a winning formula. We're not many games away. We're 4 games away from being 500. We're not many games away. We're not much talent away from being a 90-win playoff contending team. No,
that's really exciting, and I hope you're right. I'm not going to overreact if it's not this year, though. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. If they lose more games than they did this previous season, I don't think we should overreact.
Tarek Skubal could take a step back.
Casey Mize could take a step back.
That doesn't change my mind about them. That changes my mind. I think they're going to take a step forward the next year after that. We're in this for the long haul.
Yeah, another key thing that we've kind of touched on a little bit, but the CBA and the lockout. It sounds like it's inevitable that there's going to be a lockout. One thing that I want to keep an eye on with the CBA, and I don't want to get too into it because it gets way messier than I think any of us could really understand in a lot of ways. From what it sounds like is the Players Association is working really hard at getting rid of the service time as the free agency market. So basically for the people that don't understand is like a certain amount of games in the MLB, you turn into a basically it's sorry, I just screwed up. No, you're good. Oh boy, I just really screwed this up. Oh boy. Anyways, I'm trying to figure this out. Sorry, there we go. I got it. But anyways, so basically the CBA that we're looking at here is the key part is obviously there's a lot of like cap issues and luxury tax stuff that can play a role. But one thing that the MLBPA is trying to get is the service time. So basically for the people that don't understand is like a certain amount of games in the MLB, you lose service time. That becomes a free agent sooner. So what you've seen, go back to like Chris Bryant with the Cubs, is they held him in the minors for, I want to say it was like, I think it's like the first 30 days of MLB season, and then all of a sudden you have one more year of control. They're trying to get rid of that, and what they're trying to do is make it so it's an age-based thing. And this plays a big role with the Detroit Tigers because everybody's talking about service time when it comes to Torkelson and Green. Do you want to start them in the MLB, or do you want to, let them kind of start in the minors, get that 30-ish days. I don't remember exactly how many days it is, Ryan. But do you want to control that? And if the new CBA, let's get rid of a lockout possibility of no season, because I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much money to lose. But if all of a sudden it becomes an age-based control time and free agent time, that's when you start, all right, yeah, we can start Green in the MLB. We can start Torkelson in the MLB. And that is going to be very interesting to see. There's a lot of other stuff that can happen, but that's the thing that I think is most eye-opening to me, because I want to see these guys. I don't want them to worry about service time. I want to see these guys play now, because I think they've proven that they can, and I hope that it's just not an excuse. But at the same time, if you can use it as an excuse, do it. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those Jekyll and Hyde things. What do I really want? But I don't know. It'll be interesting, and it's going to be long and messy.
It definitely impacts the free agent market, and I think that's why it was important to get into the Eduardo Rodriguez signing early on, like we got, and we got rid of our Barnhart signing with the catcher. So we've checked a couple of boxes. There's still some other stuff that they're evaluating, but these early signings were pretty impactful. Tigers are doing it better than any other team at this point.